You are not here by accident. Something inside you already knows. Life can be more. You can be more. There is a version of you waiting to step forward, stronger, calmer, unbreakable. This is not about hype. This is about alignment. Today you stop drifting. Today you decide. Every word that follows is built to sharpen your focus, strip away hesitation, and rebuild your identity from the inside out. No noise, no distraction, only truth. You will recognize yourself in these ideas. You will confront who you were. You will meet who you are becoming. This is the moment everything begins to change for you. Pause, breathe. Feel the weight of this moment. Listen closely now. Your attention matters. Your presence matters. This path opens because you are ready to walk it with intention. Stand steady. Stay open. Say it clearly without doubt. I am ready. I rise. I decide. Chapter 1. The decision that ends drift. There is a moment that separates wandering from direction. It is quiet. It does not announce itself, yet everything changes. You feel it when you stop reacting and start choosing. Until that moment, life happens around you. After it, life begins to move with. This chapter is about that line. The line you cross when you decide to live deliberately. Most people do not fail because they are incapable. They drift because they never decide. Days stack on top of days. Habits repeat. Time moves, but direction does not. You wake up. You respond. You adapt. You survive. And without realizing it, you allow momentum to choose for you. Drift feels safe because it demands nothing. No responsibility, no clarity, no courage, but drift always has a cost. It slowly hands control away. Pause here, breathe. Notice this truth without judgment. Drift is not weakness. It is unconsciousness, and unconsciousness can be interrupted. You are not your past patterns. You are not the habits that formed when you were unaware. You are not the reactions that once kept you safe. Those were strategies, not identity. They served a purpose. They are not your future. Awareness is the first act of leadership. When you see your patterns clearly, they lose their power to define you. Picture your life as a ship at sea. When there is no hand on the wheel, the ship still moves. Currents push it. Winds carry it. It may look like progress, but it is not direction. Direction requires a decision. Direction requires a steady hand. The moment you place your hand on the wheel, the journey changes. The sea does not calm. The wind does not stop, but you are no longer drifting. Stand still, think. A decision is not a wish. It is not hope dressed up as intention. A decision is a line drawn in the mind. On one side is who you have been. On the other is who you choose to become. Decisions create identity. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior shapes outcomes. This is the chain. Break it at the beginning and everything downstream changes. You may feel tension here. That is natural. Decisions create friction because they end ambiguity. Drift allows excuses. Decisions remove them. Drift says someday. Decision says now. Drift says maybe. Decision says this way. That is why decisions feel heavy. They carry responsibility, and responsibility is power. You know what needs to be done. Calm yourself first. Ground your breath. Feel your body where you are. This is not about urgency yet. This is about clarity. You do not need to change everything today. You need to choose direction today. Direction comes before speed. The conflict you feel is real. There is a current self that prefers comfort and familiarity. There is an emerging self that demands growth and intention. They cannot lead at the same time. One reacts. The other decides. One waits. The other moves. This conflict is not a flaw. It is proof that you are evolving. Decide. Notice how often your days are shaped by default. You check before you choose. You respond before you think. You fill space before you define purpose. These are unconscious habits. They are not moral failure. They are simply unexamined routine. And what is unexamined runs automatically. Choice interrupts automation. When you choose deliberately, you reclaim control. Control of time, control of energy, control of attention. You stop outsourcing your direction to mood, circumstance, or other people's expectations. You become the source. Stand still, think. What you decide does not need to impress anyone. It needs to align you. Alignment creates calm. Calm creates strength. Strength sustains effort. This is why decision brings relief as well as tension. The mind relaxes when direction is clear. Confusion drains energy. Choice restores it. Imagine again the ship. You set a heading. The waters remain unpredictable, but your movement gains meaning. Every adjustment is now intentional. Even setbacks inform you. Even resistance sharpens. Drift learns nothing. Direction learns constantly. Command yourself gently, then firmly. This is your Li. Fee, no one else can steer it for you. Guidance can help. Support can assist. But the hand on the wheel must be yours. Choose deliberately. This does not require certainty. It requires commitment. Certainty comes later, built through action. Waiting for certainty keeps people drifting forever. Decision creates certainty through movement. You choose, you act, you learn, you refine. This is leadership in its purest form. Feel the relief that comes with choosing. The pressure of endless options dissolves. The noise quiets. You do not need to do everything. You need to do what aligns with the direction you chose. That simplicity is powerful. Repeat this truth until it settles. Choice is power, choice is power, choice is power. Each deliberate choice reinforces identity. Each time you choose intentionally, you become someone who decides. Over time, this compounds. Small decisions strengthen the muscle. Bigger decisions become possible. Eventually, decision becomes your default state. You are not late, you are not behind, you are here, and here is where choice begins. Stand tall internally. Even if nothing changes on the outside yet, something has shifted within you. That shift matters. It will guide your actions quietly, consistently. Say it now, not as a wish, but as a statement of direction. I decide who I become. Feel the weight of that sentence. It is not aggressive, it is calm, it is firm, it is yours. This decision does not end challenges, it ends drift. And when drift ends, growth begins. Ahead of you is effort, discipline, and refinement, but now they have purpose. The journey is no longer accidental, it is chosen. Hold this feeling, carry it forward. The next step will demand more of you, but you are no longer moving without direction. You are steering now. Chapter 2. Discipline is self-respect in action. Discipline begins quietly, not with force, not with pressure. It begins with how you treat yourself when no one is watching. It is the relationship you build with your own word. The moment you stop negotiating with yourself, something stabilizes inside you. Discipline is not punishment. It is alignment. It is the signal you send to yourself that you matter enough to be consistent. Many people wait for motivation. They wait to feel ready. They wait for energy to arrive before they act. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls. Discipline does not depend on mood. Discipline is structural. It creates stability when emotions fluctuate. This is where power lives. Quiet power. Reliable power. Pause, breathe, let this land. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to suffer. It is about choosing what serves your future self, even when the present moment asks for comfort. When you act with discipline, you are practicing self-respect. You are saying, my standards are not determined by how I feel today. They are determined by who I am becoming. There is a version of you that wants ease, familiar patterns, immediate relief. That version is not wrong. It developed to protect you. But there is another version of you emerging now, one that values direction over comfort, one that understands that growth requires structure. These two versions cannot lead at the same time. This is the conflict, you versus your old self. The old self waits for the perfect moment. The emerging self creates it. The old self negotiates. The emerging self decides. Discipline is the line between them. Show up. Notice how often discipline is misunderstood. People imagine intensity. They imagine extreme effort, long hours, pushing until collapse. That is not discipline. That is inconsistency disguised as commitment. Discipline is repeatable, sustainable, calm. It looks ordinary. It does not seek attention. Consistency outperforms intensity every time. Intensity burns fast. Consistency compounds quietly. Discipline is not about doing everything. It is about doing the right things regularly, especially when it feels simple, boring, or unnoticed. Even when it's quiet, there will be days when no one applauds you. No feedback, no visible reward. Those days are not empty. They are foundational. Discipline grows strongest in silence. When you continue without external reinforcement, you build internal authority. You become someone who can be trusted by yourself. That trust matters more than motivation ever will. Think about the standards you live by now. Are they fixed, or do they change with your mood? Emotional standards create emotional results. Stable standards create stable progress. Discipline means your actions do not depend on enthusiasm. They depend on commitment. Stand still, reflect. What you repeat becomes who you are. Daily actions shape identity more than occasional effort. Discipline is how identity becomes real. Without it, intention remains theory. You do not need to feel powerful to act powerfully. You act and power follows. This is a reversal most people miss. They wait to feel confident before they move. Discipline moves first. Confidence follows later, especially when no one sees. This is where leadership is forged, not in public moments, not in performance, in private decisions. The way you handle small promises, the way you treat routines, the way you show up for tasks that feel insignificant. There is relief in discipline, real relief. The mind relaxes when structure is present. Chaos exhausts you, structure supports you. Discipline removes the endless debate, it simplifies choice. This or not this. Today or not today. Once decided, energy returns. Feel the difference. Discipline does not eliminate rest. It defines it. Rest becomes intentional instead of accidental. Recovery becomes part of the system, not an escape from it. This balance is strength, not softness. Command yourself calmly, then firmly. Show up. When resistance appears, do not argue. Resistance is normal. It is the nervous system adjusting to a higher standard. Acknowledge it. Then act anyway. Discipline grows each time you move despite hesitation. You do not overpower resistance. You outlast it. Notice how discipline changes your posture internally. You begin to trust your follow-through. You begin to speak differently to yourself. Less pleading, more clarity. Less excuse-making, more ownership. This is self-leadership. Discipline is how you prove to yourself that your future matters. Each disciplined action is a vote for the person you are becoming. One vote may seem small. Thousands of votes change identity. Consistency builds momentum. Momentum builds belief. Belief sustains effort. Repeat this rhythm. Calm, action, relief, empowerment. You act, the mind settles. Confidence grows, then you act again. Do not dramatize discipline. Do not turn it into a struggle. Let it be clean, simple, direct. Decide what matters, do it regularly, remove excess. The old self will test you. It will offer comfort, delay, rationalization, not as an enemy but as habit. Thank it for its concern. Then choose deliberately. Stand tall internally. Discipline is not about being hard on yourself. It is about being honest with yourself. Honest about what is required. Honest about what you want. Honest about what it takes to align the two. When you live this way, something shifts. Your words carry weight. Your plans gain credibility. You no longer need to promise loudly. Your actions speak. This is quiet authority. Feel the empowerment that comes with structure. You are no longer at the mercy of mood. You are no longer dependent on external pressure. You generate your own momentum. Say it now steadily, without force. I rise through discipline. Let that sentence anchor you. Discipline will not always feel rewarding in the moment, but it will always respect you. Over time, that respect accumulates into confidence that cannot be shaken. Ahead, discipline will ask for deeper focus, finer control, stronger boundaries, but you are ready. You are learning to show up consistently, and consistency is the gateway to mastery. Hold this standard, carry it forward. The path ahead requires steadiness, and steadiness is now part of who you are becoming. Chapter 3: Identity creates outcomes. Everything you see in your life is downstream from who you believe you are. Not what you want, not what you wish for, what you identify as. Identity comes first. Outcomes follow. This is not theory, this is structure. Before achievement, there is alignment. Before results, there is self-definition. Most people chase goals. They chase milestones, numbers, recognition. They ask, what do I need to do to get there? Rarely do they ask the deeper question, who must I become to live there? This is where the shift begins. Goals sit on the surface. Identity lives underneath. If the identity stays the same, the results eventually return to familiar level. Temporary change is permanent. Change requires becoming someone new. Pause, let that settle. You do not rise to the level of your ambition. You return to the level of your identity. When pressure arrives, identity decides how you respond. When comfort tempts you, identity decides what you tolerate. Identity is the invisible hand shaping your habits, your standards, your choices. Think of a river. You can try to redirect the water again and again, but if the riverbed stays the same, the flow always returns to its old path. Identity is the riverbed. Behavior is the water. To change the flow, you must reshape the foundation. You are not here to collect information. You are here to transform. For a long time, you may have defined yourself by what you have done. Past results, past roles, past limits. Those labels were never permanent. They were descriptions of a moment, not definitions of a lifetime. Yet repetition made them feel solid, familiar, safe. Safety is not the same as truth. Notice how identity speaks inside you. It uses simple language. I am this kind of person. I am not that kind of person. It sounds factual. It feels settled. But identity can be rewritten. It must be rewritten if you want new outcomes. This is where tension rises, because changing identity means letting go of old explanations, old excuses, old stories that once protected. There is comfort in familiarity, even when it limits you. Growth asks you to release that comfort. Breathe, stay present. You are becoming someone new, and becoming always feels unstable at first. Think of an athlete learning a new form. At first, the movement feels awkward, unnatural. The old technique wants to return, but repetition installs the new pattern. Eventually, what once felt forced becomes automatic. Identity works the same way. At first, acting as your future self feels unfamiliar. Over time, it becomes who you are. Act as who you are becoming, not who you were. This is not pretending. This is rehearsal. This is alignment. You do not wait for proof before you change identity. You provide proof through action. Small actions repeated signal the mind. This is who we are now. You are becoming more deliberate. You are becoming more disciplined. You are becoming more focused. Say it slowly inside yourself. Let it echo. Identity shapes behavior in moments of choice. When no one is watching, when pressure is real, when comfort is available, that is where identity reveals itself. That is where it must be trained. Visualization helps here, not fantasy, precision. Imagine waking up as the person you are becoming. Notice posture first. Calm, grounded, no rush. Notice how decisions are made, fewer debates, clear standards. Notice how effort feels steady, not dramatic. Notice how setbacks are handled. Information, not defeat. Hold that image. This future version of you does not wait to feel ready. They act from alignment. They trust their process. They move without noise. You are becoming that person. The mind will resist this shift. It will say this is not you. That voice is not an enemy. It is a signal that identity is being challenged. Do not argue. Do not suppress it. Simply act anyway. Identity updates through evidence. Every aligned action is evidence. When you choose discipline, you vote for a disciplined identity. When you choose focus, you vote for a focused identity. When you keep your word, even in small ways, you vote for integrity. Votes compound. Identity form. Notice the relief that comes when identity aligns with action. Inner conflict fades. Energy returns. You are no longer pushing against yourself. You are moving with yourself. This is the power of alignment. Old labels may surface. You may hear familiar phrases. I always struggle with this. I am not consistent. I am not confident. These are not truths. They are habits of language. Language shapes perception. Change the language. Change the repetition. Change the identity. Speak to yourself with intention. You are becoming the kind of person who finishes. You are becoming the kind of person who follows through. You are becoming the kind of person who leads calmly. Feel how those statements land differently. This is not arrogance. It is authorship. You are writing the internal narrative instead of inheriting it. The emotional intensity may rise here. That is expected. Identity change threatens the old structure. The old self will test you. It will look for proof that you cannot change. Do not engage emotionally. Respond with consistency. That is how the argument ends. Consistency is identity's strongest ally. Think again of the river. Each disciplined action reshapes the bed, slowly at first, then decisively. One day the flow has changed, and it never returns to the old path. You are in that process now. There is courage required, not loud courage, quiet courage, the courage to act before you feel fully aligned, the courage to let results lag behind identity for a while. This gap is uncomfortable, but it is temporary. Stay with it. Command yourself gently. Act as who you are becoming, not who you were. Notice how your standards begin to shift. What you tolerate changes. What you prioritize changes. You begin to protect your energy. You choose environments more carefully. You reduce unnecessary noise. This is identity expressing itself. Leadership begins internally. Before anyone follows you, you must follow your own standards. Identity is leadership in private. As you live this way, feedback from the world will adjust. People respond differently. Opportunities align differently. Not because you demanded them, because identity attracts matching outcomes. This is not magic, it is coherence. You are becoming coherent. Let go of the need to explain yourself. Identity does not need justification, it needs embodiment. Live it quietly. Let results arrive in their own time. Return to the image of your future self. See them handling complexity with calm. See them choosing long-term alignment over short-term relief. See them steady under pressure. That person is not separate from you. They are ahead of you, and you are walking toward them with every aligned choice. Repeat this rhythm. Calm tension, action, relief, empowerment. Calm your mind. Feel the tension of growth. Act deliberately. Feel the relief of alignment. Rise empowered. This cycle builds identity faster than motivation ever could. There will be days when doubt appears. Let it pass. Doubt does not mean misalignment, it means expansion. Stay consistent. Identity catches up. You do not need to announce who you are becoming. You need to live it quietly, repeatedly, relentlessly. Say the affirmation now, not as hope, as direction. I am becoming the person who wins. Feel the weight of that sentence. Winning here does not mean defeating others. It means coherence, integrity, mastery over self, progress that compounds. Ahead, this identity will demand sharper focus, stronger boundaries, deeper patience, but you are prepared. You are no longer chasing outcomes blindly. You are shaping the source. Identity creates outcomes, and you are creating your identity. Hold that truth. The next step will test it. Chapter 4, Silence Builds Power. Silence is not empty. Silence is concentration. It is space where strength gathers without interruption. In a world that rewards noise, silence becomes an advantage, not because you disappear, but because you sharpen. Power grows best where it is not constantly exposed. Slow down here. Breathe. Let your nervous system settle. You do not need to announce your intentions to make them real. You do not need witnesses for your growth. Most progress is diluted the moment it is explained too early. Words leak energy. Attention scatters focus. Silence protects momentum. There is a deep urge inside most people to prove, to explain, to be seen trying. That urge is human. It comes from a desire for validation, reassurance, and safety. But power does not grow in reassurance. It grows in repetition, quiet repetition. Silence is not avoidance. It is preparation. Think of a blade being sharpened. The process is quiet, repetitive, unremarkable to watch. But the result is undeniable. Strength works the same way. When you talk less about what you will do and do more of what matters, you change internally. You become steadier, more grounded, less dependent. Pause again. Notice how often noise enters your life unnecessarily. Opinions, updates, comparisons, explanations. Each one pulls attention outward. Each one weakens focus just a little. Over time, that loss compounds. Silence returns attention to its source. There is power in keeping your plans private, not because others would stop you, but because premature exposure creates pressure. Pressure invites performance. Performance replaces process, and process is where mastery is built. Work quietly. You do not need to hide. You need to contain. Containment creates intensity. Intensity fuels growth. Silence is the container. Notice how calm authority speaks. Few words, clear timing, no rush. People who are grounded do not over-explain. They act. Then they adjust. Then they act again. Their confidence does not come from applause, it comes from evidence. Internal evidence. This chapter asks you to confront a subtle habit, the habit of seeking permission through explanation, of looking for agreement before commitment, of sharing plans to feel accountable instead of becoming accountable. That habit once served you. It does not need to lead you now. Let the tension rise here. Feel the urge to speak, to justify, to show progress. Sit with it. You are learning restraint. Restraint is not suppression, it is choice. Silence builds muscle. When you stop narrating your journey, something interesting happens. You hear yourself more clearly. You notice patterns. You catch excuses earlier. Without an audience, honesty increases. You can no longer perform. You can only practice. Practice is powerful. Silence is where discipline deepens. Without external validation, you rely on internal standards. Those standards become sharper. You begin to measure success by alignment, not reaction. This is maturity. This is leadership forming quietly. Stand steady inside. There is also safety in silence. Not fear-based safety, strategic safety. When you protect your direction, fewer opinions interfere. Fewer doubts are introduced. Focus remains intact. Noise invites interference. Think of a seed underground. No light, no praise, no evidence of progress, but everything essential is happening below the surface. Roots deepen before growth. Silence is the soil. Let results speak. You may notice discomfort as you reduce noise. That discomfort is withdrawal from validation. Validation can be addictive. Praise can become a substitute for progress. Silence removes the substitute. Progress becomes the only reward, and that reward is enough. Notice how you're in. Urge changes when you stop explaining yourself. Less tension, less defensiveness, more clarity. You do not need to convince anyone. You only need to act in alignment with your standard. This is internal strength. Internal strength does not shout. It does not rush. It does not seek confirmation. It holds direction even when unseen. There will be moments when silence feels risky, when you think visibility equals opportunity. Sometimes it does. But visibility without readiness is exposure. Exposure without preparation weakens you. Silence gives you time to build capacity. Capacity matters. This is not permanent silence. This is intentional silence. You choose when to speak. You choose what to reveal. You speak from completion, not anticipation. Command yourself calmly. Work quietly. Observe how much sharper your focus becomes when you reduce unnecessary conversation. How tasks feel simpler. How momentum increases. Silence clears mental space. In that space, strategy forms. You begin to notice what truly matters, what can be removed, what can be delayed, what must be protected. Protection is strength. There is also humility in silence. You stop performing competence. You start developing it. You stop announcing growth. You start embodying it. This humility is not weakness. It is precision. Precision requires stillness. Let go of the need to be understood by everyone. Understanding follows results. Respect follows consistency. Silence allows both to arrive naturally. The urge to prove is strongest when identity is still forming. As identity stabilizes, the urge fades. Silence accelerates that stabilization. You are becoming someone who does not need constant affirmation. Notice the relief in that. You can work without pressure, improve without judgment, fail privately, adjust quickly. Silence gives you permission to experiment without fear. This is freedom. Silence also sharpens listening. When you speak less, you hear more. Patterns become obvious. Feedback becomes clearer. You separate signal from noise. This skill alone sets leaders apart. Leaders listen first. Slow your pace here. Let this chapter breathe. Silence is not rushed, it unfolds. You may worry that silence makes you invisible. It does not. It makes you deliberate. When you speak, it matters more. When you act, it stands out. Scarcity increases value. Silence creates scarcity. Let results speak. When results arrive, they do not need explanation. They carry authority. They answer questions without words. They quiet doubt. This is why silence builds power. Consider your daily life. Where can you reduce noise? Fewer announcements, fewer justifications, fewer comparisons. Each reduction returns energy to you. Energy is finite. Spend it wisely. Internal validation becomes your anchor. You know when you did what mattered. You know when you honored your standards. That knowing becomes enough. External validation becomes optional, not necessary. This shift is subtle but profound. There will be moments when others misunderstand your silence. Let them. Clarity is coming. You do not need to correct every assumption. You need to remain aligned. Alignment speaks eventually. Feel the grounded confidence settling in now. Not excitement, stability. This is different. This is sustainable. Silence allows emotions to settle. Reactions slow. Decisions improve. You respond instead of react. That is power. Power that does not need to announce itself. Return again to the image of the ship. Noise is unnecessary movement on deck. Silence is focus on navigation. The sea is still unpredictable, but the course is steady. You are navigating now. When challenges arise, silence helps you think. Instead of explaining why something is hard, you analyze how to handle it. Instead of seeking reassurance, you build resilience. Resilience grows inwardly. This chapter is not asking you to withdraw from the world. It is asking you to stop leaking energy into places that do not serve your direction. Contain your focus, protect your process, say less, do more. Notice how powerful that feels. Silence also builds patience. Without constant updates, you allow time to work. You stop forcing outcomes. You trust compounding effort. Trust grows through consistency, not conversation. This trust in yourself becomes unshakable. You begin to enjoy the quiet. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything important is happening internally. Growth is loud only when it is insecure. Stand still inside. Feel the calm authority forming. Work quietly. This does not mean isolating. It means being selective. Selective with words. Selective with attention. Selective with access. Selectivity is leadership. You are learning to conserve power, to deploy it intentionally, to avoid waste. Waste weakens. Conservation strengthens. Let go of the urge to be everywhere. Be present where it matters. Silence sharpens presence. There is a moment when you will speak again, when you will share, when you will lead. Outwardly, that moment will feel different, grounded, clear, timed. Until then, silence prepares you. Repeat this affirmation internally, slowly. I grow in silence. Feel how that sentence steadies you. Silence is not absence. It is incubation. You are incubating strength, clarity, and resolve. When you emerge, it will be evident. For now, continue quietly. Build without noise. Refine without distraction. Let your actions accumulate. The next stage will require deeper focus and sharper boundaries. Silence has prepared you for that. You are stronger than before, calmer, more contained. Hold this stillness. Carry it forward. Let results speak. Chapter 5. Pain is a teacher, not a stop sign. Pain arrives without invitation. It does not ask if you are ready. It does not wait for perfect timing. It simply appears, and when it does, it demands interpretation. This chapter is about that interpretation, about the moment you decide whether discomfort will end your movement or deepen it. Pain itself is neutral. Meaning is what gives it power. Slow your breath. Ground yourself here. Growth is never painless. If it were, it would not change you. Comfort preserves. Pressure transforms. Every meaningful expansion of capacity carries friction. Muscles grow through resistance. Character grows through challenge. The question is not whether pain will come. The question is how you will read it. Most people are trained to see pain as failure, as proof that something is wrong, as a sign to stop, retreat, or choose an easier path. That interpretation is understandable. Pain disrupts rhythm. It shakes certainty, but disruption is not defeat. It is often the signal that a limit is being stretched. Stay with it. There is a difference between destructive pain and constructive pain. Destructive pain breaks without purpose. Constructive pain teaches. It informs. It sharpens awareness. When you learn to distinguish between the two, resilience becomes possible. You stop reacting blindly. You start responding intelligently. Think of metal being forged. Heat is applied intentionally. Pressure follows. Without heat, the metal remains brittle. Without pressure, it remains weak. Together, they produce strength. Pain in your life often plays the same role. It exposes weak points. It reveals where structure must improve. This is not punishment. This is refinement. Delayed gratification lives here, in the space where you choose long-term strength over short-term relief. Relief is tempting. Relief is immediate, but relief often interrupts growth. Endurance allows it to complete. Breathe again, feel your body, you are safe here. Emotional pain is often misunderstood because it feels personal. It feels like an indictment, but emotion is data. It signals adjustment. When frustration appears, it tells you effort is meeting resistance. When fear appears, it tells you importance is present. When doubt appears, it tells you you are operating at the edge of familiarity. Edges are where expansion happens. Do not retreat. There will be moments when discomfort escalates quickly, when the urge to stop becomes loud. In those moments, simplify, narrow your focus. Do not analyze the entire journey. Stay with the next step. One breath, one action, one decision. Stay with it. Intensity rises here. Let it rise. You feel the strain. You want relief. You question your direction. You think about stopping. Pause. This moment is not asking you to quit. It is asking you to grow. Pain does not mean you are doing something wrong. Often, it means you are doing something new. New demands new capacity. Capacity is built through exposure, not avoidance. Think of endurance as emotional muscle. It strengthens when challenged, weakens when avoided. Each time you remain present in discomfort without collapsing, you add resilience. That resilience does not disappear. It stays with you. Pressure reveals character before it builds it. Notice how you speak to yourself when things get hard. That voice matters. Replace panic with instruction. Replace reaction with command. Stay with it. Breathe. Adjust. Continue. This rhythm carries you through. Pain is also honest. It does not flatter. It does not deceive. It tells you exactly where attention is needed, where preparation is incomplete, where alignment must deepen. Seen this way, pain becomes guidance. Guidance is valuable. Emotional endurance does not mean suppressing feeling. It means allowing feeling without letting it steer. You acknowledge discomfort. You do not obey it. You feel fully. You choose deliberately. This distinction changes everything. There is relief on the other side of endurance, not because pain disappears forever, but because your relationship to it changes. You trust yourself to handle it. That trust creates calm even under pressure. Calm is strength. Notice how those who endure quietly develop a certain presence. They are not rushed. They are not reactive. They have been tested. They know discomfort does not destroy them. This knowledge settles the nervous system. You are building that knowledge now. Stay with it. The urge to retreat often arrives just before adaptation, just before the body, mind, or skill adjusts to a higher demand. Retreat steals that adaptation. Endurance completes it. Think back to times you pushed through difficulty. Notice what followed. Increased capacity, increased confidence. That pattern repeats when you allow it. Pain is temporary, capacity lasts. There is a moment in endurance where intensity peaks, where everything in you wants to stop. This is the threshold. Cross it and the experience changes. Not instantly, gradually. The system adapts. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. This is how growth feels. Do not dramatize pain. Observe it, name it, work with it. Remove unnecessary story, keep the lesson. Story amplifies pain. Observation contains it. Let the intensity crest now. Stay. Do not retreat. You are closer than you think. Feel the heat. Feel the pressure. Hold your ground. This moment is shaping you. And now release slightly. Notice how clarity returns when you stop resisting discomfort. Energy that was used to fight sensation becomes available for action. The mind steadies. Choices improve. This is emotional mastery. Delayed gratification becomes natural. You stop needing immediate comfort because you trust future strength. That trust is earned through repetition. Each time you endure, you build evidence. Evidence replaces fear. Pain also teaches humility. It reminds you that growth is process, not performance. That mastery is built, not announced. This humility keeps you learning. Learning keeps you progressing. Progress continues. Some pain comes from letting go of old identity, old attachments, old patterns that no longer serve you. This pain is sharp because it is psychological, but it clears space. Space allows something new to form. Formation requires patience. Stay with it. There will be voices, internal or external, that suggest you are pushing too hard. Sometimes they are right. Sometimes they are fear disguised as concern. Learn to tell the difference. Exhaustion requires rest. Resistance requires endurance. Wisdom learns which is which. You are developing that wisdom now. The forging metaphor returns here. Heat, pressure, cooling, each phase matters. You do not stay in heat forever. You do not avoid it either. You move through it intentionally. This balance creates resilience. Notice how pain sharpens focus. When things are easy, attention drifts. When things are hard, attention narrows. That narrowing is useful. It brings presence. Presence improves performance. Presence is power. As endurance builds, fear changes shape. It becomes respect instead of avoidance. Respect for difficulty. Respect for the process. This respect keeps you engaged without panic. Engagement sustains effort. You are learning to stay present under strain. This skill transfers everywhere. Relationships, leadership, work, crisis. Those who can remain present lead better decisions. This is leadership training. Stay with it. The relief phase arrives quietly, not as celebration, as steadiness. You realize you did not break. You realize you adapted. That realization strengthens identity. I can handle this. I can stay. I can continue. These statements settle deep. Pain stops being a stop sign. It becomes a checkpoint, a message, a signal to refine, not retreat. Let that truth integrate. There will be future challenges, bigger ones, more complex ones. This chapter is preparing you for them, not by removing pain, but by changing your relationship to it. Relationship determines response. You no longer need pain to disappear before you move forward. You move with it. That is freedom. Freedom from avoidance. Freedom from fear-based decision. Freedom from the need for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions do not exist. Endurance does. As this chapter closes, notice your internal posture. More upright, more grounded, less reactive. This is resilience forming. Repeat the command softly, firmly. Stay with it. Do not retreat. And now the affirmation. Let it anchor you. I grow through challenge. Feel the strength in that sentence. Not bravado. Confidence earned through experience. This is not the end of difficulty. It is the end of fear governing difficulty. Carry this endurance forward. The next phase will ask you to focus more sharply, to direct energy precisely. Pain has prepared you for that. You are stronger now. Chapter 6. Focus is the new superpower. Focus is no longer a preference. It is a skill. And in this era, it is a superpower. Not because the world lacks opportunity, but because it overflows with distraction. Attention has become fragmented, pulled in 1,000 directions, drained by constant noise. Those who reclaim it rise quietly above the rest. Slow your breathing. Settle your body. This chapter requires presence. Focus is leadership practiced internally. Before you lead tasks, people, or outcomes, you must lead attention. Whatever holds your attention shapes your thinking. Whatever shapes your thinking shapes your actions. And your actions build your life. Attention is energy. Where it goes, energy follows. Most people believe they are managing many things at once. Multitasking feels productive. It feels efficient. In reality, it fractures effort. Each switch costs energy. Each interruption weakens depth. You move more but accomplish less. Focus is depth. Depth is power. Notice how scattered attention feels. Restless, unsatisfied, busy but unfulfilled. Contrast that with focused attention. Calm, engaged, absorbed. Time moves differently when focus is present. You are not rushing. You are immersed. Immersion builds mastery. Pause, reflect on your day. How often is your attention divided? How often do you begin one thing while thinking about another? This habit is not harmless. It trains the mind to avoid depth. Over time, shallow focus becomes default. Defaults can be changed. Reclaiming focus begins with awareness. You cannot control what you do not notice. Start by observing when your attention drifts, not with frustration, with curiosity. Drift reveals where boundaries are weak. Boundaries protect focus. Mental boundaries are invisible, but they are decisive. They define what enters your awareness and what stays out. Without boundaries, everything feels urgent. With boundaries, priorities become clear. Clarity simplifies effort. Focus is not about forcing concentration. It is about removing interference. Think of a signal. When noise increases, the signal weakens. When noise is reduced, the signal becomes strong without effort. Reduce noise. This does not require isolation from the world. It requires intention within it. Decide what deserves your attention. Decide what does not. Decision precedes discipline. One thing. Notice how the mind resists this idea. It worries about missing out, about falling behind. That worry is rooted in scarcity thinking. Focus is not loss. Focus is selection. When you choose one thing, you are not rejecting others forever. You are prioritizing depth now. Depth compounds. Think of a magnifying glass. Diffused light warms nothing. Concentrated light creates fire. Your attention works the same way. Spread thin, it produces heat without impact. Concentrated, it transforms. All in. There is calm authority in focused action. No rush. No panic, just steady engagement. Focus creates momentum because it reduces friction. You stop starting and stopping. You move through tasks cleanly. Clean movement conserves energy. Distraction is not always external. Often it is internal, unfinished thoughts, anticipation, self-commentary, the urge to check, switch, escape. These impulses are learned responses to discomfort. Focus asks you to stay. Staying builds capacity. When you remain with one task, even as boredom or resistance appears, you strengthen attention. This is training, not punishment. Attention improves through exposure, not avoidance. Stay present. Leadership demands focus because leadership requires judgment. Judgment requires clarity. Clarity requires stillness. You cannot see patterns while constantly switching perspective. Stillness sharpens perception. Imagine your future self. Not hurried, not scattered, composed, engaged. When they work, they are fully there. When they rest without guilt. Their attention is not constantly hijacked. Hold that image. That version of you protects focus deliberately. They design their environment to support it. Fewer interruptions, clear priorities, intentional transitions. This is not rigidity. It is respect for energy. Energy is finite. Focus also requires courage. Courage to say no. Courage to delay response. Courage to be unavailable for non-essential demand. Many distractions enter disguised as obligation. Leadership means discerning what truly requires you. Not everything does. Set mental boundaries now. Decide when you will engage and when you will not. Decide what earns immediate attention and what waits. Waiting does not mean neglect. It means order. Order creates calm. The mind relaxes when it knows there is a system. Systems free attention. Without them, the mind remains alert, scanning constantly. That vigilance is exhausting. Focus restores ease. Notice how focused work feels satisfying even when it is challenging. There is meaning in completion, closure in depth. Multitasking denies this satisfaction. It leaves fragments unfinished, creating mental clutter. Clutter drains. Clear one thing at a time. One thing. Focus improves emotional regulation. When attention is scattered, emotions amplify. Anxiety increases. When attention is grounded, emotions settle. Presence stabilizes the nervous system. Stability supports performance. There will be resistance, the urge to switch, to check, to interrupt yourself. Treat this urge as training weight. Each time you resist it, attention strengthens. Each time you give in, attention weakens. Choose deliberately. All in. Future pacing matters here. Imagine months of focused effort, not frantic, steady. Imagine how much depth accumulates, skills sharpen, understanding deepens, confidence grows quietly. This future is built one focused session at a time. Focus also changes how you relate to time. You stop measuring productivity by hours spent and start measuring by depth achieved. Less time wasted, more progress made. Quality over quantity. There is relief in focus. Relief from constant decision-making. Relief from comparison. Relief from overload. When attention narrows, the world becomes manageable. Manageable does not mean small. It means navigable. Leadership is navigation. Focus allows you to see what matters most. It brings strategic thinking forward. You stop reacting to what is loud and start responding to what is important. Importance is often quiet. This chapter is not asking you to eliminate distraction completely. That is unrealistic. It is asking you to reclaim authority, to decide when distraction enters, not be ruled by it. Authority feels different. Authority is calm. It does not rush to respond. It observes first, then acts. Practice this now. As you listen, keep attention here. Notice the urge to drift. Gently return. This act alone strengthens focus. Return again. Focus also builds trust in yourself. When you complete what you start, confidence grows. Confidence reduces anxiety. Reduced anxiety improves focus. This is a reinforcing loop. Loops shape identity. You are becoming someone who can stay with complexity, who can handle sustained effort, who does not need constant stimulation to feel alive. Aliveness comes from engagement, not novelty. Multitasking often hides avoidance. Switching tasks prevents you from sitting with difficulty. Focus asks you to face difficulty directly. That is where growth occurs. Growth prefers depth. There will be moments when focus feels uncomfortable, when the mind looks for escape. Do not dramatize this. Observe it. Stay anyway. This is where attention expands. Expansion feels like pressure at first. Breathe, stay. One thing. As focus improves, you may notice impatience with unnecessary noise. This is not arrogant. It is discernment. You value your energy more. You protect it. Protection is leadership. Mental boundaries extend to information. You do not need to consume everything. Select what informs your direction. Reduce excess input. Excess input fragments thinking. Clear input supports clear output. Focus also means finishing. Finishing tasks, finishing thoughts, finishing conversations. Closure frees attention. Unfinished loops drain energy. Close loops intentionally. As you practice focus, life simplifies. Not because demands disappear, but because your response becomes precise. Precision saves time. Time expands when focus deepens. Notice how calm this feels, not passive. Intentional, you are not rushing, you are directing. Directing attention directs life. This is why focus is a superpower. Not flashy, not loud, but decisive. Those who master it operate on a different level. They see further, move cleaner, recover faster. You are learning this now. There is a command embedded here. Simple, demanding, effective. One thing. All in. Say it internally as you begin tasks. Let it anchor you. When distraction appears, return to it. One thing. All in. This chapter prepares you for greater responsibility. Responsibility requires sustained attention. Without focus, responsibility overwhelms. With focus, it becomes manageable. Manageable becomes masterable. You do not need to control everything. You need to control your attention. That control creates leverage. Leverage multiplies effort. As this chapter settles, feel the shift. Less scattered, more grounded. This is not temporary calm. This is a skill developing. Repeat the affirmation now, slowly. I control my focus. Feel the authority in that statement. Control does not mean rigidity. It means choice. You choose where energy goes. Carry this forward. The next phase will test focus under greater demand. But you are prepared. You are no longer divided. You are becoming concentrated. Chapter 7. Standards shape destiny. Standards are quiet decisions you live with every day. They are not what you say you want. They are what you accept, what you tolerate, what you repeat without resistance. Long before outcomes appear, standards are already at work, shaping direction silently. Slow down. Settle your breath. Goals point forward. Standards hold the line. Goals describe where you want to go. Standards decide how you behave on the way there. You can set ambitious goals and still live small if your standards remain low. You can achieve extraordinary outcomes with modest goals if your standards are high. Standards do not negotiate with mood. Many people rely on motivation to move. Motivation is unstable. Standards are stable. Motivation asks, do I feel like it today? Standards ask, what is required of me? This difference determines consistency. Consistency determines destiny. Notice how this feels. Calm, firm, grounded. Standards are internal leadership in action. They are the rules you enforce even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. They define your relationship with effort, time, and integrity. Without standards, life is reactive. With standards, life is directed. Directed does not mean rigid. It means intentional. Think about the areas of your life where progress feels slow. Look beneath the surface. Often the issue is not ability. It is tolerance. Tolerance for delay, tolerance for distraction, tolerance for compromise. What you tolerate becomes your standard. Standards create identity. This chapter will challenge comfort. Comfort is not the enemy, but it cannot be the leader. When comfort leads, standards fall quietly. Effort becomes optional. Excuses sound reasonable. Over time, this erodes self-trust. Self-trust matters. Raising standards does not require force. It requires clarity. Clarity about who you are becoming. Clarity about what that version of you would accept and what they would not. Pause, reflect honestly. Where have you been lenient with yourself in ways that cost you later? Not with kindness, with avoidance. Where have you allowed small lapses to repeat until they felt normal? Normal is trained. Standards reset what feels normal. Imagine a room with a low ceiling. You can move comfortably only by shrinking posture. At first, it feels restrictive. After a while, it feels normal. Raising standards is like lifting the ceiling. At first, the new height feels demanding. Soon, it becomes natural. Growth follows space. Raise the bar. This does not mean punishing yourself. It means deciding that certain behaviors are no longer optional. Not because you are harsh, but because you are committed. Commitment simplifies choice. You no longer debate. You act according to standard. Debate drains energy. Internal leadership means you do not wait for consequences to correct behavior. You correct behavior because it matters, because alignment matters, because your future matters. This creates tension. Let it. Comfort zones exist to preserve familiarity, not growth. When you challenge them, discomfort appears. That discomfort is a signal that standards are rising. Do not interpret it as danger. Interpret it as expansion. Expansion is uncomfortable at first. Notice how raising standards affects self-talk. Language shifts. Less negotiation, more direction. Less justification, more responsibility. This shift is subtle but powerful. Power settles quietly. Standards also protect you. They protect time, energy, attention. When standards are clear, fewer decisions are required. You know what you do and what you do not do. This reduces friction. Reduced friction increases momentum. Think of standards as guardrails. They do not limit movement, they guide it. Without them, effort scatters. With them, effort compounds. Compounding shapes destiny. Goals can be inspiring. Standards are sustaining. Inspiration fades. Standards remain. When inspiration disappears, standards carry you forward. Carry yourself forward. Standards must be chosen consciously. Inherited standards often come from convenience or environment. Chosen standards come from value. Values are internal. They do not change with circumstance. Circumstance tests standard. When pressure rises, standards reveal themselves. Anyone can act aligned when conditions are easy. Standards show up when effort is inconvenient, when fatigue appears, when shortcuts tempt. Live there. This command is not aggressive. It is declarative. Once you raise the bar, you do not visit it occasionally. You live there. Living there changes posture, behavior, identity. Identity stabilizes. Let the emotional tension build here. You may feel resistance, old habits pushing back, old patterns asking for exceptions. This is normal. Resistance is the echo of previous standards. Acknowledge it, do not obey it. Standards are not promises. They are rules you enforce gently but firmly. If you violate them, you do not collapse. You correct. Correction strengthens leadership. Correction builds trust. Self-leadership requires integrity. Integrity is not perfection. It is alignment between values and actions. When alignment breaks, integrity repairs it quickly. Quick repair matters. Raising standards also affects what you allow from others. Boundaries become clearer. Expectations become explicit. This may feel uncomfortable, but clarity prevents resentment. Resentment grows where standards are unclear. You are not responsible for managing everyone's comfort. You are responsible for honoring your direction. Direction requires boundary. Boundaries protect standards. Notice how this chapter shifts authority inward. You are no longer waiting to be pushed. You are no longer reacting to urgency. You are choosing deliberately. Deliberate living creates calm. Standards shape daily behavior more than ambition ever will. How you begin your day, how you end it, how you handle small tasks. Small standards create big outcomes over time. Time magnifies standard. Imagine two paths, one paved with excuses accepted daily, one paved with small disciplines enforced daily. After years, the distance between them is vast. Destiny is distance over time. Raising standards is not about comparison. It is not about others. It is about alignment with your potential. Comparison distracts. Alignment focuses. Focus sustains effort. Let go of external pressure. External pressure is inconsistent. Internal standards are reliable. When pressure disappears, standards remain. Remain steady. You may worry that higher standards make life harder. In the short term, yes. In the long term, they simplify everything. Decisions become easier. Direction becomes clearer. Confidence increases. Confidence follows consistency. Consistency is standards in action. Raise the bar. This means choosing excellence in small things, not because they are visible, because they train identity. Identity does not distinguish between small and large behavior. It absorbs pattern. Patterns shape character. Character shapes destiny. Let the emotional release arrive now. Feel the relief of clarity. You no longer need to decide each time. Standards decide for you. This frees energy. Freed energy fuels growth. You are not becoming rigid. You are becoming reliable. Reliable to yourself. That reliability creates self-respect. Self-respect deepens resolve. Think of moments when you respected someone deeply. Often it was because they lived by standards consistently, not because they were loud, because they were steady. Steadiness attracts trust. Trust opens opportunity. This is how standards quietly shape external outcomes, not directly, indirectly, through reliability, through integrity, through reputation built over time. Reputation begins internally. Standards also require courage. Courage to disappoint others. Courage to say no. Courage to maintain boundaries under pressure. This courage grows with use. Use strengthens courage. Live there. Do not raise standards impulsively. Raise them deliberately. Choose what truly matters. Enforce that consistently. Avoid overloading yourself. Few clear standards are more powerful than many vague ones. Clarity over quantity. What are your non-negotiables now? In effort, in honesty, in focus, in rest, in learning, define them, write them mentally, live by them. Living is the proof. Standards must be reviewed periodically, not lowered easily, raised thoughtfully. Each raise signals growth. Growth stabilizes identity. Identity becomes stable. You will notice that excuses lose appeal as standards rise. Excuses require justification. Standards require action. Action becomes simpler. Simplicity is strength. Let the command echo again. Raise the bar. Live there. Feel the firmness in those words. They are not urgent. They are settled. There may be moments when you fall short. That does not invalidate standards. It reinforces their importance. Correct, adjust, continue. Continuation matters more than perfection. Standards shape how you recover from mistakes. Low standards excuse. High standards correct. Correction accelerates learning. Learning compounds. As this chapter integrates, notice the internal shift. More self-respect, less negotiation, more clarity. This is internal leadership maturing. Maturity feels steady. Repeat the affirmation now, slowly, with conviction. I live by higher standards. Let it anchor you. This is not a slogan. It is a commitment to alignment, to integrity, to direction. The path ahead will demand even greater patience and precision. Standards will support you when motivation fades. They will hold you steady when pressure increases. Hold them firmly. Destiny is not decided in moments of excitement. It is decided in moments of quiet choice. Standards guide those choices. You are guiding them now. Carry this forward. Chapter 8. Time rewards the patient and prepared. Time is neutral. It does not rush you. It does not wait for you. It moves forward with the same calm certainty every day. What changes is how you meet it. This chapter is about learning to stand in time without panic, to work with it instead of fighting it, to understand that patience is not passivity but strategy. Slow your breathing. Let the pace drop. Urgency is loud. It pressures. It demands immediate results. It convinces you that if something is not happening now, it may never happen at all. Urgency narrows vision. It pulls attention toward short-term relief and quick validation. Patience does the opposite. Patience widens vision. It allows you to see sequence instead of moment. Sequence matters. Most meaningful achievements are not the result of a single decision. They are the result of sustained preparation over time. Preparation that often feels invisible, unrewarded, quiet. This is where many people lose faith. Not because the path is wrong, but because the timeline feels slow. Time is not slow, it is thorough. Patience is the ability to continue without immediate proof, to invest effort before results appear. This ability separates those who build lasting strength from those who chase short bursts of success. Chasing creates motion. Patience creates mastery. Pause here, let the tension release. Think of planting a seed. The work happens before anything is visible. Soil is prepared, seeds are placed, water is given, then nothing seems to happen. Beneath the surface, everything is happening. Roots form first. Without roots, growth collapses later. Time grows roots. Impatience digs up seeds too early. It demands evidence before the system is ready to show it. Patience allows growth to complete its unseen phases. Wait with purpose. Waiting without purpose is stagnation. Waiting with purpose is preparation. Preparation is active. It refines skill, strengthens structure, deepens understanding. When the moment arrives, the prepared move naturally. The unprepared rush. Rushing breaks things. There is a deep comfort in understanding this truth. You stop measuring progress by speed alone. You start measuring it by alignment, depth, and consistency. These qualities are not dramatic. They are reliable. Reliability compounds. Long-term thinking requires you to detach from constant feedback, from the need to know immediately whether something is working. Many systems take time to show results. Skill, trust, reputation, strength. These grow slowly but last. Lasting matters. Notice how impatience feels in the body. Tight, anxious, restless. Now notice how patience feels, grounded, spacious, calm. One state drains energy, the other conserves it. Energy preserved over time becomes power. The world often rewards urgency with attention. Attention is not the same as reward. Attention is temporary. Time rewards preparation. Time rewards consistency. Time rewards those who can delay gratification without losing direction. Delayed gratification is not denial. It is selection. You are selecting future strength over immediate comfort. You are selecting mastery over novelty. You are selecting depth over speed. These choices may not feel exciting in the moment. They feel stable. Stability supports endurance. Endurance outlasts excitement. There will be moments when you question whether patience is worth it, when others seem to advance faster, when shortcuts look appealing, when results elsewhere look immediate. Comparison fuels impatience. Patience requires you to stay with your own timeline. Your timeline is yours. Think again of the harvest metaphor. Fields do not ripen overnight. Crops are tended daily, watered, protected, adjusted. No farmer stands in the field demanding instant growth. They respect the process. They work with respect time. Preparation is daily, not dramatic. Small improvements, repeated effort, consistent standards. These are invisible most days. Over months and years, they create undeniable advantage. Advantage earned quietly is difficult to compete. Prepare daily. Daily preparation stabilizes identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who invests consistently. This identity reduces anxiety. You trust that effort will accumulate. You stop needing immediate reassurance. Trust replaces urgency. Long-term vision allows you to absorb short-term discomfort. When you know where you are going, temporary delays do not derail you. They become part of the path. Without vision, every delay feels like failure. Vision reframes time. Hold a clear image of who you are becoming. Not next week, not next month, years ahead. See the steadiness, the confidence, the depth. That version of you did not rush. They prepared. You are preparing now. Patience also sharpens judgment. When you are not pressured by urgency, you make better decisions. You see consequences more clearly. You choose actions that serve the long arc, not the short spike. Short spikes fade. There is strength in being unhurried. Not slow, unhurried, moving steadily without panic. This presence affects others. It signals confidence. It signals preparation. It signals leadership. Leadership is temporal awareness. You begin to notice that some things cannot be rushed. Trust must be built. Skill must be practiced. Strength must be earned. Trying to accelerate these often creates weakness later. Weakness shows up under pressure. Patience is not waiting for permission. It is waiting for readiness. Readiness is built, not granted. Build readiness. There will be moments when impatience tempts you to abandon process for outcome. Resist this gently. Return to preparation. Process is what creates repeatable success. Repeatability is mastery. Time also reveals truth. What is shallow collapses. What is solid remains. If you rush growth, weaknesses stay hidden until they fail under load. Patience exposes and corrects weaknesses early. Correction early saves cost later. Notice how this chapter feels slower. That is intentional. Slowness allows integration. Integration allows stability. Stability sustains effort. You are learning to operate on a longer horizon. This changes how you experience setbacks. Setbacks become data points, adjustments, not judgment. Judgment shortens vision. Data extends it. Patience also protects mental health. Constant urgency keeps the nervous system activated. Over time, this exhausts you. Patience allows regulation. Regulation supports longevity. Longevity matters. Think of mastery in any field. It is not built by those who rush the fundamental. It is built by those who respect them. Fundamentals repeated daily become advanced skill over time. Time upgrades basics. Daily preparation may feel small. It is not. It is foundational. Foundations determine how much weight you can carry later. Without them, growth collapses. Build foundations now. Prepare daily. This does not mean grinding endlessly. It means showing up consistently, resting intentionally, learning deliberately, adjusting intelligently. This rhythm aligns with time instead of fighting it. Alignment reduces friction. When you align with time, impatience loses its grip. You stop asking, "Why is this taking so long?" You start asking, "What can I refine today?" Refinement compounds. Notice how calm empowerment begins to rise here. You are no longer racing. You are building. That shift is powerful. It changes posture, breath, decision-making. You trust the work. Trust does not mean blind faith. It means confidence built through consistency. Each day you prepare, trust grows. Each day you honor the process, anxiety reduces. Reduced anxiety improves focus. Long-term thinking also clarifies priorities. You stop chasing everything. You invest in what matters most. Time forces trade-offs. Patience helps you choose wisely. Wise choices age well. There is also humility in patience. You accept that growth cannot be forced. That control has limits. This humility keeps you learning. Learning keeps you improving. Improvement never stops. Urgency often disguises fear. Fear of being left behind. Fear of missing out. Fear of wasting time. Patience reframes time as an ally, not a threat. Allies strengthen you. Let go of the need to see results immediately. Let go of the need for constant confirmation. You are not behind. You are building. Building takes time. When impatience surfaces, return to preparation. Do one small thing well, then another. This grounds you in action without panic. Action stabilizes emotion. The empowerment phase begins here. You realize that patience gives you leverage. While others burn out chasing quick wins, you accumulate depth. While others switch paths frequently, you deepen one path. Over time, this creates separation. Separation creates opportunity. Time favors those who can stay. Stay with effort, stay with learning, stay with standards. Staying is a skill. You are developing that skill now. Prepare daily. Patience also sharpens gratitude. You notice progress that others miss. Subtle improvements, increased clarity, greater calm. These are signs of growth. Growth is happening. Your identity shifts. You no longer see yourself as someone waiting for success. You see yourself as someone building it. This identity reduces pressure. You are already doing the work. Work defines you more than outcomes. Trust the process. Say it slowly, feel it settle. I trust the process. This trust does not make you passive. It makes you persistent. Persistence aligned with time becomes unstoppable. Unstoppable does not rush. You begin to move with confidence that does not depend on speed. You allow skills to mature. You allow opportunities to align. You allow timing to work in your favor. Timing matters. There will be moments when you must act quickly. Patience prepares you for those moments. Because you are ready, you can move decisively when needed. Decisive action requires preparation. This chapter is teaching you to value long arcs, to think in seasons instead of moments, to build for sustainability, not applause. Applause fades, structure remains. Feel the calm strength now. This is not excitement, it is assurance. You know that if you continue preparing, time will reward you. Time always does. You do not need to force outcomes. You need to align effort. Alignment compounds naturally. Carry this patience forward. The next stages will ask you to integrate everything you have learned. Patience will allow that integration to hold. Prepare daily. Wait with purpose. Let these commands guide you. They are not passive, they are strategic. In this chapter, grounded, not rushed, not anxious, steady. Time is moving. You are moving with it. Chapter 9. Leadership begins with self-command. Leadership does not begin with influence. It begins with alignment. Long before anyone follows you, you are already leading someone, yourself. Every thought you allow, every emotion you indulge, every action you repeat. This is where leadership is decided. Quietly, consistently, internally. Slow down here. This chapter carries weight. Many people associate leadership with visibility, authority, or position. Titles, recognition, responsibility over others. Those are outcomes, not origins. True leadership starts earlier, deeper, and far more privately. It starts with self-command, the ability to direct your inner world with clarity and steadiness. If you cannot lead your attention, your emotions, and your behavior, external leadership will always feel heavy. If you can, influence becomes natural. Self-command is not force, it is coherence. Think about moments when you respected someone. Often, it was not because they spoke the loudest or demanded attention. It was because they were composed, consistent, grounded. They did not react impulsively. They did not waver under pressure. Their presence felt stable. That stability comes from self-governance. Self-governance means you do not outsource control to impulse, mood, or circumstance. You observe your internal state. You choose your response. You act in alignment with values, not emotion alone. This skill separates reactive living from deliberate leadership. Pause. Notice your internal environment. Leadership inside you is happening all the time. When discomfort arises, who takes command? When distraction appears, who decides? When emotion spikes, who leads? These moments reveal your current level of self-command. This is not about judgment. It is about awareness. You cannot lead what you refuse to observe. Thoughts appear constantly. Some are useful, some are habitual, some are unhelpful. Self-leadership does not mean stopping thoughts. It means deciding which thoughts guide action. You let thoughts pass. You select which ones earn authority. Authority is selective. Emotions also rise: fear, frustration, excitement, doubt. Self-command does not deny emotion. It regulates it. You feel fully. You respond intentionally. You do not let emotion drive behavior blindly. Regulation is strength. Many people confuse emotional suppression with control. Suppression builds pressure. Regulation creates flow. You acknowledge emotion. You breathe. You choose how to act. This process builds trust within yourself. Trust stabilizes leadership. Notice how this feels different. Calm, grounded, not tense. Leadership does not require intensity all the time. It requires steadiness most of the time. Steadiness creates confidence. Confidence here is not performance. It is internal agreement. Agreement between what you value and how you act. When those align, self-command strengthens. When they diverge, leadership weakens. Alignment matters. Self-command also applies to behavior. Habits are leadership decisions repeated daily. Each habit either reinforces authority or erodes it. When you keep commitments to yourself, even small ones, self-command increases. When you break them casually, it weakens. Small actions matter. This is why discipline, focus, patience, and standards all converge here. They are expressions of self-leadership. They train you to lead internally before you ever attempt to lead externally. External leadership without internal command collapses under pressure. Pressure reveals leadership. Imagine a moment of stress. Something goes wrong, time is limited, stakes are high. In that moment, you do not rise to aspiration, you fall to training. Self-command determines whether you react emotionally or respond strategically. Strategic response is leadership. This chapter asks you to step into calm authority. Authority that does not rush. Authority that does not panic. Authority that observes, decides, and acts deliberately. Calm authority is learned. Notice how calm authority speaks. Short sentences, clear direction, no excess explanation, no emotional charge. This style begins internally. Command yourself simply. Pause, breathe, decide. These are leadership actions. Self-command also requires honesty. You must see where you avoid responsibility internally, where you blame circumstance, where you wait for conditions to change. Leadership does not wait, it adapts. Adaptation requires ownership. Ownership is not blame, it is clarity. You take responsibility for what you can control: thoughts, responses, effort, direction. This focus reduces overwhelm. You stop trying to control everything. You lead what is yours. What is yours is enough. Emotional regulation deepens. As here, you begin to notice patterns, triggers, cycles. Instead of reacting automatically, you anticipate. Anticipation allows preparation. Preparation improves response. Fear may appear as you take more internal control. Fear often surfaces when identity shifts. You are moving from reactive patterns to deliberate command. This transition feels unfamiliar. Stay with it. Leadership requires tolerance for discomfort, not because discomfort is the goal, but because growth demands it. Self-command allows you to remain steady while discomfort passes. Discomfort passes, identity remains. There is a moment when self-command becomes noticeable. You feel less pulled, less scattered, less reactive. Decisions feel cleaner. You recover faster from setbacks. This is internal leadership consolidated. Confidence escalates quietly. Self-command also sharpens boundaries. You become clear about what you allow into your mental space. What conversations drain you? What inputs fragment focus? Leadership protects attention. Protection preserves energy. Energy directed consistently becomes influence. Influence begins internally. Notice how this chapter builds on everything before it. Discipline trained consistency. Silence trained containment. Patience trained endurance. Focus trained attention. Standards trained alignment. All of these converge into leadership. Leadership is integration. You are integrating now. Lead yourself. This command is simple. It is not dramatic. It is constant. Every moment asks who is in charge. Habit or intention, emotion or values, impulse or direction. Direction wins when practiced. Self-command does not eliminate emotion. It refines it. Passion becomes purposeful. Anger becomes boundary setting. Fear becomes preparation. Emotion becomes information, not instruction. Information improves leadership. You begin to trust yourself more. Trust grows when behavior aligns with values under pressure. That trust reduces anxiety. Reduced anxiety improves judgment. Judgment guides leadership. As self-command strengthens, external circumstances feel less overwhelming. You stop needing to control outcomes. You focus on leading input. Input determines trajectory. Trajectory compounds. There will be moments when self-command falters. That does not negate leadership. It invites recalibration. Leaders correct course. They do not abandon it. Correction is leadership. Confidence escalates here. Not loud confidence. Quiet assurance. You know you can handle what arises because you can lead yourself through it. That knowledge is powerful. External leadership opportunities often arrive when internal leadership is ready. Not before. Others sense stability. They trust it. Influence follows coherence. Everything follows. This does not mean you seek followers. You seek alignment. Influence becomes a byproduct. Leadership presence grows when you speak less and act more. When words align with behavior. When reactions slow. When decisions sharpen. People notice. Self-command also means you do not abandon yourself under pressure. You stay present. You stay honest. You stay aligned. This loyalty to self builds integrity. Integrity sustains leadership. There is also humility in self-command. You accept that growth is ongoing, that mastery is never complete. This humility keeps you learning. Learning strengthens leadership. As this chapter deepens, feel the internal shift. You are not asking how to lead others, you are learning how to lead yourself well. This foundation is unshakable. Unshakable foundations matter. The escalation of confidence continues. You move through challenges with less drama. You conserve energy. You choose responses deliberately. This is maturity. Maturity is leadership. Self-command also clarifies vision. When the inner world is governed well, the outer path becomes clearer. Noise fades. Priorities sharpen. Clarity simplifies effort. Lead yourself. Repeat it internally when decisions arise, when emotion spikes, when distraction tempts. This phrase recenters authority. Lead yourself. Everything follows. Say it again. Feel its weight, not pressure. Responsibility. Responsibility chosen, not imposed. Responsibility empowers. This chapter is not about becoming rigid. It is about becoming reliable. Reliable to yourself. Reliable under stress. Reliable in action. Reliability builds trust. Trust builds influence. Influence builds opportunity. Opportunity handled with self-command creates impact. Impact without self-command collapses. You are choosing sustainability. As this chapter closes, notice the calm authority settling. This is not excitement. It is readiness. You are ready to carry more responsibility because you can carry yourself. Carry this leadership forward. The next phase will expand outward, but the source will remain here. Repeat the affirmation now, slowly, clearly. I lead myself with strength. Let that define you. Leadership has already begun. Chapter 10. Consistency compounds quietly. Consist. NCY is not dramatic. It does not announce itself. It does not rush. It works in silence day after day, building outcomes that appear sudden only to those who are not paying attention. This chapter is about that quiet force. The force that outperforms talent. The force that outlasts motivation. The force that turns ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Slow your pace. Let the rhythm settle. Most people overestimate what they can do in a short burst and underestimate what they can do through repetition. They search for breakthroughs, hacks, and moments of inspiration. They crave novelty. Novelty feels exciting. It feels like progress. Consistency feels plain. It feels repetitive. But repetition is where transformation actually happens. Consistency is not about intensity. It is about return. Return to the work. Return to the standard. Return to the effort. Again and again. The compound effect does not announce itself early. In the beginning, consistent effort looks unimpressive. Results are small. Progress feels slow. This is where most people stop, not because they are incapable, but because they misjudge the phase they are in. Early consistency is invisible consistency. Think of interest compounding over time. Small deposits seem insignificant at first, then something shifts. Growth accelerates. The curve bends upward. The same principle applies to skill, discipline, confidence, and leadership. Each repetition deposits strength. Over time, strength multiplies. Multiplication requires patience. Consistency builds identity before it builds results. Each time you show up, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who follows through. That belief changes how you think, decide, and respond. Identity shifts quietly. Quiet shifts last. Many people mistake boredom for a sign to stop. Boredom is not failure. Boredom is familiarity. Familiarity means you are practicing. Practice is how capacity grows. Stay with it. Repetition trains reliability. Reliability builds trust, first with yourself, then with others. Trust opens opportunity. Opportunity rewards preparation. Preparation was built through consistency. This is the chain. Consistency also reduces friction. The first time you do something, it requires effort. The 10th time, less. The 100th time, it becomes automatic. Automation frees energy. Freed energy allows expansion. Expansion comes later. This chapter asks you to reframe repetition, not as monotony, but as momentum. Momentum does not come from constant change. It comes from sustained direction. Direction repeated becomes force. Again, Daily execution matters more than occasional brilliance. Brilliance flashes. Execution compound. One powerful day followed by inconsistency produces little. Moderate effort repeated daily produces momentum that is difficult to stop. Stopping resets the curve. Consistency is how you respect time. You acknowledge that growth is sequential. That today builds on yesterday. That skipping breaks continuity. Continuity matters. Notice how consistency affects emotion. When you show up regularly, anxiety decreases. You trust your process. When effort is sporadic, anxiety increases. You feel behind. Consistency stabilizes the nervous system. Stability supports endurance. This is why consistency feels calming. Even when effort is required, there is less mental debate. You know what to do, you do it. That simplicity is powerful. Power grows through simplicity. The world celebrates big moments. Consistency builds them quietly. People notice outcomes, not repetition. They see the result and assume it was sudden. You know the truth. It was earned daily. Daily matters. Future pacing helps here. Imagine yourself months from now. Not after one burst of effort, but after hundreds of repetitions. Skills sharpened, habits embedded, confidence steady. That version of you is not frantic. They are grounded. Grounded wins. Consistency also protects against emotional volatility. You do not depend on how you feel. You depend on what you do. Feelings fluctuate. Actions repeat. Repetition builds resilience. Again and again, there will be days when consistency feels heavy, when enthusiasm is low, when progress feels invisible. Those days are not exceptions. They are the training ground. Consistency practiced on hard days multiplies faster than consistency practiced on easy days. Hard days carry weight. Notice how identity responds to repetition. You stop asking, "Am I the kind of person who can do this?" You know you are. Evidence accumulates. Doubt fades. Evidence defeats doubt. Consistency also creates alignment between intention and behavior. Alignment reduces inner conflict. Reduced conflict frees energy. That energy returns to execution. Execution improves results. You are not aiming for perfection. You are aiming for repeatability. Perfection demands ideal conditions. Consistency works in real conditions. Real conditions build real strength. Think about how trust is built in relationships, not through grand gestures alone, but through reliability, showing up, following through, being steady. The same applies internally. Internal trust matters most. When you trust yourself, you take on greater challenges. You do not hesitate as much. You move forward with confidence. Confidence feeds action. Action reinforces confidence. This loop compounds. Consistency also sharpens focus. When actions are habitual, less mental energy is spent deciding. Decision fatigue decreases. Attention deepens. Depth accelerates mastery. Again, repetition is also how leadership credibility forms. Leaders are not trusted because of isolated moments. They are trusted because of patterns. Patterns reveal character. Character compounds. There is a rhythm to consistency. Work, rest, return. This rhythm sustains effort without burnout. Burnout often comes from intensity without rhythm. Rhythm sustains longevity. Daily execution does not mean endless effort. It means intentional effort within structure. Structure supports consistency supports growth. Growth stabilizes identity. You may feel the urge to change paths frequently. New ideas, new directions. Some change is necessary. Constant change interrupts compounding. Before changing, ask if boredom or impatience is driving the urge. Impatience resets progress. Stay long enough to see compounding begin. Again and again. Consistency also trains humility. You accept that progress is gradual, that mastery is earned. This humility keeps you grounded and learning. Learning accelerates improvement. Notice how repetition removes drama. You stop overanalyzing each session. You stop judging each outcome. You focus on showing up. This simplicity reduces pressure. Reduced pressure improves performance. Consistency does not require excitement. It requires commitment. Commitment is calm. Excitement is volatile. Volatility disrupts compounding. This chapter is teaching you to value accumulation over acceleration. Acceleration burns out systems that are not ready. Accumulation strengthens systems gradually. Gradual strength lasts. You are building something durable. Durability comes from consistency. Think again of compound interest. Growth looks flat at first, then it curves. Many people quit in the flat phase. Those who stay experience the curve. Stay. Consistency also builds emotional momentum. Each repetition reinforces belief. Belief reduces resistance. Reduced resistance makes repetition easy. Ease follows effort. There is power in ordinary days done well. No headlines, no recognition, just alignment. Over time, these days create extraordinary trajectories. Trajectory matters more than speed. Future pacing again. Imagine explaining your success later. The story will sound simple. I showed up. I kept going. I stayed consistent. The simplicity will surprise others. It should not surprise you. You lived it. Again and again. Consistency trains patience without stagnation. You are moving, just not rushing. Movement keeps momentum alive. Momentum carries you through doubt. When doubt appears, consistency answers it. You do not argue with doubt. You act. Action resolves doubt faster than thought. Action clarifies. Consistency also strengthens discipline automatically. You do not need to summon discipline each time. Habits carry you. Habits are consistency stored. Stored effort multiplies. Notice how this chapter builds emotional momentum through repetition. The repetition is intentional. It mirrors the message. Again and again. This rhythm trains the mind to accept repetition as power. Power repeats. Consistency also creates space for creativity. When fundamentals are automatic, creativity has room to emerge. Without consistency, creativity is chaotic. Structure enables creativity. Daily execution gives you feedback. Small adjustments compound into refinement. Refinement improves efficiency. Efficiency saves energy. Saved energy allows expansion. You begin to trust the process deeply here. Not because someone told you to, but because you see evidence. Small gains stacking, resistance decreasing, confidence stabilizing. Stability is success. This chapter asks you to commit to repetition without immediate reward, to trust compounding before it becomes visible. This trust is earned through practice. Practice earns trust. Again, consistency also protects against regression. When effort is habitual, setbacks are smaller. Recovery is faster. You do not lose ground. Ground held matters. There is a quiet pride that comes from consistency. Not pride in outcome, but pride in character. You know you did the work. That knowledge steadies you. Steadiness is strength. You may notice impatience with shortcuts as consistency deepens. Shortcuts undermine compounding. You value depth more. Depth endures. Again and again. As repetition continues, identity locks in. You no longer say, I am trying to be consistent. You say, I am consistent. This shift is subtle but decisive. ID solidifies. When identity solidifies, effort decreases. Consistency becomes who you are, not what you force. Force fades. Identity remains. This is the quiet victory of consistency. You win not by overwhelming effort, but by persistent alignment. Alignment compounds. There will be times when consistency is interrupted. Life happens. Disruptions occur. Consistency is not broken by interruption. It is broken by abandonment. Resume quickly. Resumption preserves compounding. Do not dramatize breaks. Return again and again. This mindset keeps momentum intact. Consistency also sharpens self-respect. Each time you return, you reinforce reliability. Reliability builds confidence. Confidence sustains effort. The emotional momentum builds now. You feel it. Less urgency, more assurance. You are no longer chasing progress. You are creating it daily. Creation feels different. This chapter is not exciting. It is empowering. It removes illusion and replaces it with method. Method works. Work done repeatedly works better. Again, consistency also trains leadership presence. Others notice steadiness. They trust it. Trust creates influence. Influence compounds too. You do not need to be the most talented. You need to be the most consistent. Talent without consistency fades. Consistency without talent grows talent. Growth wins. Let the rhythm carry you. Again and again, feel the empowerment. You do not need a breakthrough. You need a return. Return to the work. Return to the standard. Return to alignment. Return builds momentum. As this chapter integrates, notice how calm you feel about progress. Less anxiety, less comparison, more commitment. This is consistency settling into identity. Identity stabilizes effort. Say the affirmation now, slowly, with certainty. I win through consistency. Let it anchor you. This is not optimism. It is arithmetic. Effort compounded over time produces results. Time will do the multiplying. You provide the repetition. Again and again, carry this forward. The next phase will ask you to release old versions of yourself. Consistency will make that release stable, not chaotic. You are building something that lasts. Chapter 11. You outgrow the old version of you. There comes a moment when growth demands separation. Not from people, not from the world, from an identity that once served you but can no longer lead you forward. This moment is not dramatic on the surface, but internally it is seismic. You feel it as restlessness, as friction, as a quiet knowing that something no longer fits. Slow your breath, stay present. Outgrowing an old version of yourself is not betrayal, it is evolution. What once protected you may now limit you. What once felt safe may now feel heavy. This does not mean it was wrong. It means it was temporary. Every stage of growth has an expiration date. You are approaching yours. Identity is powerful because it organizes behavior. It tells you what is normal, what is possible, what is allowed. When identity becomes outdated, behavior follows it into stagnation. This chapter is about recognizing that moment and responding with courage instead of clinging. Clinging delays growth. Old identities are familiar. Familiarity feels safe, even when it restricts you. Letting go feels uncertain because it removes a known structure, but growth requires uncertainty. Without it, expansion cannot occur. Pause, let the tension rise. You may still be performing roles that no longer align with who you are becoming. Roles defined by expectation, by habit, by past circumstance. They once gave you stability. Now they demand energy without return. That imbalance is a signal. Beliefs also age. Ideas about what you can handle, what you deserve, what is realistic. These beliefs were formed in earlier conditions. You have changed. Your capacity has increased. Old beliefs may now underestimate. Underestimation limits action. This chapter is not about rejecting your past. It is about releasing your attachment to it. The past is information, not instruction. You honor it by learning from it, not by living in it. Release it. Let the words echo. Release it. There is grief in growth. Grief for familiar versions of yourself. Grief for old comfort. Grief for what will never be again. This grief is not weakness. It is closure. Closure allows movement. Movement restores energy. Feel the intensity rising now. This is the peak. This is where resistance speaks loudly. Old patterns argue for preservation. Old stories demand loyalty. Old fears warn of loss. Do not retreat. These voices are not enemies. They are remnants. They do not need to be silenced. They need to be acknowledged and then released. Release it. You are not abandoning yourself. You are updating yourself. Identity separation is necessary because growth requires clarity. You cannot fully step into a new level while carrying an outdated definition of who you are. One will pull against the other. Pull creates exhaustion. Separation creates relief. Rapid clarity arrives here. You are not who you were. You are not bound by old limits. You are not required to stay small. Pause. Breathe. Feel the release beginning. There may be guilt. Guilt for changing, for no longer fitting expectations, for choosing growth over familiarity. Guilt is a common companion in transition. It signals empathy, not error. You can honor others without imprisoning yourself. Empathy does not require self-betrayal. Old attachments may include habits that once soothed, reactions that once protected, narratives that once explained pain. These attachments were tools. They are not your identity. Tools can be put down. Holding onto them after they expire slows you down. This chapter invites honesty. Honest recognition of what no longer serves. Honest admission that you have changed, that your standards are higher, that your tolerance is lower, that your direction is clearer. Clarity demands action. Release it. Notice how the body responds when you imagine letting go. Tension loosens, breath deepens, space opens. This is not loss. This is capacity returning. Capacity expands when weight is removed. The old version of you may still try to lead. It will show up in moments of stress, in familiar environments, in old triggers. Do not panic. This does not mean regression. It means integration is ongoing. Integration requires patience. When the old version appears, do not argue, do not shame. Simply choose again. Choice rewrites identity faster than analysis. Choose again. Intensity rises sharply here. Let it rise. You have outgrown excuses. You have outgrown waiting. You have outgrown playing small. Say it internally. You have outgrown it. This realization carries power. Power because it removes ambiguity. You no longer wonder why certain things feel misaligned. You know, alignment has changed. Change requires courage. Courage is not loud. It is decisive. It chooses forward motion even when comfort resists. Move forward. The emotional release follows decision. Once you commit to letting go, relief arrives. Not instantly, but steadily. The internal struggle quiets. Energy that was used to maintain an outdated identity becomes available for growth. Growth feels lighter. You may feel sadness. Let it pass. Sadness marks transition. It does not mean regret, it means completion. Completion allows peace. Notice how calm emerges after intensity. This calm is not empty, it is clarity. You see yourself more accurately now, not through the lens of the past, but through present capacity. Present capacity matters. You are stepping into a new level, not because you declared it, but because you have prepared for it. Discipline, focus, patience, consistency, standards, all of these have reshaped you. Identity must follow. Identity follows behavior. The old version of you was built for survival. The new version is built for leadership. Survival reacts, leadership directs. You are directing now. Move forward. Let go of comparisons to who you used to be. Growth is not linear. It is layered. Each layer serves its time. When the time ends, the layer must be shed. Shedding creates renewal. Think of a structure being renovated. Old supports are removed not because they were useless, but because they cannot support the new design. The new structure requires stronger foundations. You are strengthening foundations. Old labels may still linger. Hard worker, people pleaser, perfectionist, survivor. These labels describe behavior, not essence. They are not permanent. Permanence belongs to values, not roles. Values remain. Expression evolves. This chapter is about emotional closure. Closure does not require confrontation. It requires decision. Decision releases attachment. Release it. You may feel tempted to revisit old stories, to analyze what went wrong, to relive past moments. Reflection is useful. Rumination is not. Rumination anchors you to identity you are leaving. Let it go. Move forward. There is empowerment in choosing who you are now, not who you were forced to be, not who circumstances shaped, but who you have consciously become. Conscious identity is powerful. Notice how your posture changes internally. More upright, more grounded, less apologetic. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. Alignment feels stable. Rapid lines now. Let them land. You are done shrinking. You are done waiting for permission. You are done carrying what no longer fits. Release it. Move forward. Feel the shift. The calm that follows is earned. It is the calm of someone who has closed a chapter without regret. You can look back without longing. You can move forward without fear. Fear fades when identity stabilizes. This does not mean challenges disappear. It means you face them as someone new, someone stronger, someone clearer. Clarity simplifies response. You are not required to explain your growth. Growth explains itself. When your actions change, the story changes automatically. Stories follow behavior. There may be people who only know the old version of you. Let them. You do not need to correct their image. Live the new one. Living is convincing. Empowered calm settles now, not excitement, confidence. You trust the direction because you trust yourself. Trust is liberation. You step into your next level not by force, but by release. You stop carrying weight that was never meant to be permanent. You free energy for what is ahead. Ahead is expansion. The old version of you will always be part of your story. It does not need to be part of your leadership. You thank it. You learn from it. You move beyond it. Beyond is growth. This chapter marks a turning point. After this, return is possible but unnecessary. You have seen too clearly. You know what alignment feels like. Knowing changes everything. Say the command one last time, with finality. Release it. Move forward. And now the affirmation. Let it define this moment. I step into my next level. Feel the truth of it, not as ambition, as fact. You have closed a chapter. The next one demands embodiment, living fully as who you have become. Carry this clarity forward. The final stage will integrate everything into direction. You are ready. Chapter 12. The life you lead from here. You have arrived at a threshold, not an ending but a stabilization. Everything you have practiced, endured, released, and refined now settles into who you are. This chapter is not about learning something new. It is about embodiment, about living from alignment rather than effort, about becoming steady in what you already know. Slow your breathing, feel your body grounded. The life you lead from here is not built on urgency. It is built on clarity. Clarity about who you are, clarity about what matters, clarity about how you move forward. You are no longer assembling pieces. You are integrating them. Integration is strength. Discipline is no longer something you force. It is something you rely on. Focus is no longer fragile. It is trained. Patience is no longer passive. It is strategic. Standards are no longer aspirational. They are lived. Identity is no longer questioned. It is embodied. This is who you are now. Leadership from this point forward is quiet, consistent, and grounded. You do not need to prove anything. You demonstrate alignment through action. Your decisions reflect your value. Your pace reflects your confidence. Your presence reflects your preparation. Presence matters. You will notice that life does not suddenly become easy. Challenges remain. Complexity remains. But your relationship to them has changed. You no longer react from uncertainty. You respond from structure. You lead from internal command. Internal command sustains direction. Think about how far you have come, not in distance but in depth. The way you think has shifted. The way you tolerate distraction has changed. The way you handle discomfort has matured. These changes are not temporary, they are trained. Training endures. You are no longer searching for permission to live deliberate. You are no longer waiting for confidence to appear before you act. You act and confidence follows. You move and clarity sharpens. Movement clarifies identity. The life you lead from here is defined by coherence. What you think, feel, and do align more often than they conflict. When misalignment appears, you correct quickly. Correction is no longer threatening. It is routine. Routine is powerful. You will find that your energy is spent differently now. Less on explaining, less on reacting, less on comparison, more on building, more on refining, more on leading. Leading is directional energy. This chapter invites you to zoom out, to see your life not as a series of isolated moments but as a long arc, an arc shaped by daily choices, small actions, repeated standards, quiet consistency. Arcs reveal meaning. Long-range vision stabilizes effort. You no longer feel the need to rush outcomes. You understand that mastery unfolds over time. You allow skills to mature. You allow opportunities to align. Alignment replaces anxiety. You will notice a shift in how you experience time. Less pressure, more intention. You plan with foresight. You act with patience. You rest without guilt. Rest becomes strategic. The identity you now embody does not fluctuate wildly. It is not dependent on praise or circumstance. It is rooted in self-command. This stability is felt internally first. Internal stability changes everything. You are no longer surprised by who you are in difficult moments. You know how you respond. You have practiced it. You trust yourself under pressure. Trust is liberation. The life you lead from here will include leadership moments, some obvious, some subtle. You may guide others directly. You may influence through example. You may lead simply by how you carry yourself. Carrying yourself well matters. Leadership is not something you turn on. It is something you live. It shows up in how you listen, how you decide, how you hold boundaries, how you recover from mistakes. Recovery reveals leadership. Mistakes will still happen. They do not define you. They inform you. You respond with accountability, not collapse. You correct course and continue. Continuation is mastery. You will notice that your tolerance for misalignment decreases. You feel it sooner. You address it faster. This is not intolerance. It is clarity. Clarity simplifies correction. The life you lead from here is not loud. It is effective. You do not chase validation. You generate results. You do not seek control. You exercise authority over yourself. Self-authority creates freedom. There will be seasons of building, seasons of execution, seasons of reflection. You no longer resist these cycles. You work with them. Working with cycles preserves energy. Your long-range vision is not rigid. It is directional. You know where you are heading, even if the exact route changes. This flexibility within structure is wisdom. Wisdom guides leadership. You are no longer distracted by every opportunity. You evaluate alignment first. Does this serve the direction? Does this strengthen identity? Does this honor standards? Standards guide choice. This chapter is about emotional completion. Not closure of effort, but closure of doubt. Doubt about whether you can sustain growth. Doubt about whether alignment lasts. Alignment lasts when lived. You have proven to yourself that you can choose deliberately, that you can endure discomfort, that you can stay consistent, that you can release what no longer serves. Proof stabilizes belief. Belief now feels different. It is not hopeful. It is grounded. It comes from experience, not imagination. Experience anchors confidence. The life you lead from here is not defined by external milestones alone. It is defined by internal steadiness. You measure success by alignment, not just achievement. Achievement follows alignment. You will still set goals, but goals no longer own you. They serve you. You pursue them without attachment to outcome. You focus on process. Process delivers results. Your internal dialogue has changed. Less criticism, more instruction. Less doubt, more clarity. You speak to yourself as a leader speaks to a team. Calm, direct, supportive. Support sustains performance. You are now someone who can hold responsibility without panic, who can wait without stagnation, who can act without overthinking. These capacities compound. The life you lead from here will include moments of solitude. You will value silence. You will use it to recalibrate, to sharpen focus, to reconnect with direction. Silence remains an ally. You will also engage fully when it is time. When you speak, it will be intentional. When you act, it will be decisive. When you commit, it will be complete. Completeness builds trust. Trust in yourself becomes a baseline. This trust allows you to take meaningful risks, not reckless ones, calculated ones aligned with vision. Vision informs risk. You are no longer driven by fear of missing out. You are guided by clarity of purpose. Purpose filters noise. Noise fades. Long-term embodiment means you no longer oscillate wildly between effort and collapse. You manage energy. You respect limits. You build sustainably. Sustainability outlasts intensity. The life you lead from here will feel quieter internally. Not empty, settled. The mind is less crowded. Decisions feel cleaner. Emotions move without overwhelming. Regulation becomes natural. This is what integration feels like. You are not holding many tools separately. They are working together. Discipline supports focus. Focus supports consistency. Consistency supports identity. Identity supports leadership. Everything connects. You may notice others responding differently to you, not because you changed how you demand respect, but because alignment commands it naturally. Alignment attracts alignment. You will be tempted at times to slip back into old patterns. That temptation does not disappear, but your response has changed. You notice sooner, you correct faster, you continue. Continuation is power. The life you lead from here includes contribution, not forced, organic. As you stabilize, you naturally support others through example, through presence, through clarity. Contribution deepens meaning. Meaning sustains effort. You are no longer chasing motivation. You are living commitment. Motivation may come and go. Commitment remains. Remaining steady matters. This chapter asks you to stand fully in who you are now, not partially, not conditionally, fully. You have earned this embodiment. Embodiment is ownership. Ownership does not mean control over everything. It means responsibility for what is yours. Your actions, your reactions, your direction. Direction defines leadership. The future you envision is not fantasy. It is trajectory, a trajectory built by daily choices already in motion. You do not need to rush toward it. You are already moving. Movement is happening. Long-range vision now feels realistic, not overwhelming. You break it into seasons. You execute patiently. You adjust intelligently. Adjustment refines trajectory. The life you lead from here will include rest. Intentional rest. Rest that supports performance rather than escapes it. Rest restores clarity. You will continue to learn. Curiosity remains. Humility remains. You do not assume mastery is complete. This keeps you sharp. Sharpness sustains leadership. This chapter marks emotional completion because you no longer need external confirmation to move forward. You have internal confirmation. Internal confirmation is enough. You know who you are. You know what you stand for. You know how you operate under pressure. This knowledge is grounding. Grounding stabilizes identity. The life you lead from here is one of coherence. Your values, actions, and direction align more often than not. When they do not, you correct without drama. Drama drains energy. Energy conserved becomes capacity. You may still feel ambition, but it is quieter now, more refined, less frantic. It pulls you forward without pushing you off balance. Balance sustains momentum. You will notice that your standards feel natural, not forced. They are simply how you live now. Living standards shapes destiny. This chapter invites you to accept this version of yourself fully, without hesitation, without apology, without waiting for perfect conditions. Conditions are never perfect. You are not flawless but aligned. Alignment is sufficient. You are now equipped to lead your life intentionally, not perfectly, consistently. That consistency will carry you further than any burst of effort ever could. Consistency endures. The calm authority you feel now is not temporary. It is built. It has roots. Those roots will hold during storms. Storms test structure. Your structure is strong. This is who you are now. Live it. This command is not pressure. It is permission. Permission to stop searching. Permission to stop hesitating. Permission to embody what you have trained. Embodiment is freedom. Living it means showing up as yourself without performance. It means making decisions aligned with standards. It means correcting when needed. It means continuing. Continuing builds legacy. Legacy is not fame. It is impact over time. Impact created through alignment, consistency, and leadership. Leadership lived daily creates impact. You are no longer waiting to arrive. You are living from arrival. Arrival is internal. You may still evolve. You will. Growth never stops, but the foundation is set. Evolution builds on stability now. Stability supports expansion. This chapter closes the arc by opening the path, not to something distant, but to something ongoing. The life you lead from here is already in motion. Motion sustains purpose. Stand tall internally. Feel the calm confidence, not excitement, assurance. Assurance is quiet. Repeat the command slowly. Let it settle. This is who you are now. Live it. And now the affirmation. Let it anchor this entire journey. I choose greatness daily, not occasionally, daily, in small choices, in quiet moments, in how you think, act, and lead. Greatness here is not spectacle. It is alignment lived consistently. You have everything you need to continue. Carry this forward. You are not the same person who started listening. Something has shifted inside you. You feel it in how you think, how you pause, how you choose. You see yourself more clearly now. You move with intention. You lead from within. This journey was never about perfection. It was about alignment, about choice, about consistency practiced when no one was watching. You learned to steady yourself, to focus, to endure, to release what no longer fit. These were not ideas. They were actions, and action reshaped you. From this point forward, you act deliberately. You respond instead of react. You build quietly without needing permission. You stand firmly in your standards, even when it would be easier to bend. This steadiness is your strength now. There will be challenges ahead. That is certain, but you are prepared. You do not panic under pressure. You adjust. You continue. Difficulty no longer defines you. It informs you. There will be moments of doubt. they will pass. You remain steady because you trust what you have built. You trust your discipline, you trust your focus, you trust your ability to stay with the work. You are becoming the person who finishes what they start. The person who leads calmly when others rush. The person who chooses courage daily, not dramatically, but consistently. Pause, breathe. Let this moment settle fully into you. Feel the weight of clarity. Feel the calm confidence of alignment. This is not an ending. It is a standard you now live by. Carry this certainty forward into every choice you make, every action every moment you are tested. Knowing alignment will guide you when motivation fades and silence surrounds you completely always. Say it now clearly, without hesitation. I am ready. I rise. I decide who I become. You made it to the end. That already says something about you. Most people stop early. You stayed. If this audiobook challenged you, if it sharpened your focus, if it reminded you of who you're becoming, then don't let this be a one-time moment. This channel exists for people who choose growth, discipline over comfort, clarity over noise, progress over excuses. If you want more audiobooks like this, more mindset training, more leadership, more inner strength, subscribe, like this video so it reaches the people who need it, and share it with someone who's ready to rise but hasn't found the words yet. Stay consistent, protect your mind, and keep moving forward. This is only the beginning.